Now let's head over to our components, and we want to make a new file inside the component/jokes. So inside this jokes folder we want to make a new file, and we will call it joke.js. So we want to now make a React functional component, and this functional component is going to return us the joke item. So the joke list will consist of these joke items, which is joke.js basically. And then inside this joke item we will allow the user to upvote or downvote the joke, and he can read the joke, and it will show a nice emoji of depending on the upvotes. So if we have many upvotes, then it will show a smiley emoji. If it has many downvotes, then it would show a frowning emoji. So yeah, we'll go through this now. So we're going to be receiving a few props, but before that I'm just going to apply the style first before I do the prop. So let's remove this div and let's do a box instead, and it should automatically import the box from the material UI library. Now for this box I want to apply a style which is going to be joke. So we're going to do class name. So this implements let's actually implement the style sheet. So we're just going to copy and paste from the jokes list, because I don't want this to be too long. This is meant to be a very short project. So inside here we're just going to copy paste it just like I explained before. Now I'm just going to remove all these styles because I don't need them. We're making a new style sheet for this component specifically. Now I can use these styles. We can use the const classes is equal to use styles, and we need to import make styles as well from the material UI library because we are using it to make the style sheet. Now for those, now we need to make the class that we have just used over here. So we need to define it inside the style sheet, and now we can style it. So for this style, first of all we need to do display flex so that the elements inside it, they can expand. And we want to do border bottom, so this will give it a border at the bottom of the component, and we'll make the size 2 pixels. And so we're going to do a string, and we're going to 2 pixels. And we're going to do solid, so the line will be solid, and the color will be, we're just going to do hash EE. We're going to do 6 E's. And after this border bottom, we're going to align item center because we want all the items centered, and justify content center as well, which does the same thing. We also want the font to be bold, so we're going to use font weight 400. So now let's actually apply some text right inside this box so we can see how it actually looks. And let's also import the joke item inside the joke list. So as you can see, we have imported it right over here. It automatically imported it for us, and now we can see, so we are actually getting this joke. Now we need to just style it properly because it doesn't look so good. So if we look closely, we can see that the style is not actually being applied. So the issue is that when we're using use styles, we didn't use it as a function because it implements make styles, and that should return a style sheet, so it should be used as a function. And now it has actually applied the styles, and we are getting the item inside it can expand because we used display flex, and the item is centered because we used align item center and justify content center. So we also want to give it some padding as well because the item is stuck. So we'll do, like, the vertical padding is really tight, so we'll do padding 1 rem. And now that looks better. Now we can get rid of this text over here, and now we need 3 boxes. So we're going to have one box for upvoting and downvoting, which is going to be aligned to the left, and in the center we're going to have the text, which is going to be the joke, and on the right we're going to have another box which is going to be the emoji. So we're going to have 3 boxes inside this main box. So let's go ahead and do the first box, which is the arrows, the upvote and downvote arrows to allow the user to upvote and downvote the joke, obviously. So for this box, we're going to style it as well. We're going to call it joke buttons. So class name equals classes dot joke buttons, and let's implement it inside the style sheet. So for the joke buttons, we want to do display flex as well, so the arrows inside it can expand, elements inside this box can expand, and we also want to do margin right 1 rem. We're going to use capital R right, yep. And we want the items to be centered as well, so we'll do justify content center. And let's give it a width of around 15 pixels, 15%, sorry, 15%. Now let's just give it a background color so we can see how it looks. We'll just do background color red. Along with the justify content center, let's also add align items center. And now let's see how it looks. Some reason why is it not being applied. Let's see what's the issue. So we have joke button. We need also a height for it, that's why it's not showing, because the height is 0. We'll give it a height of 200. Okay, so this is going to be aligned to the left, but because we don't have any other boxes, so it's going to be the only one right now, that's why it's being centered. So we can keep it like that now for now. We just want to remove the background color. So next we want to add the arrows inside this box. So we're going to have a first we're going to have so it's going to be a column. First is going to be upvote arrow, then we're going to write votes, and then we're going to give it a down arrow. So okay, it's going to make sense now as I do it. So we're going to do arrow upward icon. We need to import these arrows from the material UI icons library. And we need to import it ourselves because it doesn't automatically import it. So we're just not going to use we should remove the object destructuring because it's going to be using the export defaults. As we can import this from material UI icons and slash capital A arrow upward. Now we want to do the same thing, but now we want to do it for the down arrow. So we're just going to change from upward to downward. And likewise for the actual icon. Yep. Now let's actually use these over here. So we also want to style them as well. So let's give it a class name. And for the class name, we are going to do classes dots. So we're going to have the same style for the arrow up and arrow down. So in this case, we're just going to make one style called arrow icons. Arrow icon, and now we can implement it right inside the style sheet. So for this arrow icon, we want to just give it a font size of 2em, and we'll give it a margin of 10. Okay, so let's see how that looks now. Okay, so when we want to hover over it, we want the mouse to change from this arrow to a actual hand. So like it's a pointer. We want it to be a pointer so the user can see that she can click it. So for this, we're just going to write cursor, and we're going to set it to pointer. And now if we hover over it, yeah, we can click it. So another thing is we want to give it that should be it actually. So now we're going to do the same thing but for arrow down as well. We also need okay, so let's see how it looks now. We just need it to be in a column, and we will need some text between it as well to tell the user that he can vote. So we want to put a label in between them as well to show the votes of the joke. So like how much is it, how many people have upvoted, or like if it's been more downvoted than upvoted, then it will be a minus number, and if it's more upvoted, then it will be a positive number. So we're just going to do the votes now over here. So we're going to do typography, and we're going to style it using classes dot votes label. and let's implement this votes label inside the style sheet. So for the votes label, we want to let's see what we should do for this one. Okay, let's give it a font size of 20. That's it, pretty much. Yeah. And let's now put in, for example, a 0. Let's give it 0. That should be good. Yeah. Now that we have done this first box, now we can move on to the text, which is going to be the text of the joke, and we want to apply this in the center. So it's going to be the second box. So just like I explained, we have 3 boxes. So now we're on to the second box, which is the joke itself. And for this box, we want to apply a class to it now. And for this class, we're just going to use, we're going to call it classes.jokeText. And now let's implement the joke text class inside our style sheet. So for this joke text, it's going to be very simple. We're just going to, we want it to take up most of the width. So we're going to specify a specific width, which is going to be 75% of the actual joke item. And we want the font size to be 1.2 rem. And now let's put in some text over here. So over here we'll just write, this is a joke, ha ha ha. And now let's see how it looks. Okay. So yeah, that should be good. Now we should do our last box, which is going to be the emoji itself. So depending on how funny the joke is, we will make the emoji laugh more, like it will be smiling more the funnier the joke is, and as the joke is not funny, we will make him frown. But for just, as we are just designing it right now, I'm just going to keep it as one emoji, and this will all be replaced with the actual props of the joke, because we're going to be passing in props for this joke item, and we can, for example, put in the joke text over here depending on the joke that we have received from the API, and also the emoji, we will be calculating it in accordance to the upvotes. So for now it's just for design purposes. After that we're going to actually pull jokes from an API and pass it inside this component. So for the emoji, I'm going to be using a specific emoji from a emoji CSS library, and I will need to link this emoji CSS library inside index.html so I can use it inside the React application. So pretty much just pasting in the link over here, and I will include this link inside the text file so you can copy and paste it. Now let's go back to our joke.js, and now we can use this icon because we have imported it inside our index.html. We have imported the library. So we're just going to do class name, and then we're going to, for now we're just going to do em laughing, and that should give us a laughing emoji. Now we want to style it as well. We'll style this. It will style the box of the actual emoji, and we'll do classes dot joke smiley or joke emoji. We'll do joke emoji. Yeah. And now let's implement the joke emoji style. So for this joke emoji, we want to make it bigger, so we'll do font size 3 rem. And let's see how it looks now. That made it much bigger. So after that, we're going to give it margin left auto, so it can have some spacing, some margin between the joke text and the actual emoji. Now we want to give it a border radius of 50% as well. So we do this because we're going to apply a box shadow as well, so we don't want it to look bad. So we'll do box shadow over here, just like the other box shadows that we have used. We can get it from jokes list, the box shadow. Yep, that looks quite good. So if we remove the border radius, you will see what I mean by it will look like a card square. So we can get rid of this just by doing border radius 50%.